Hi, this is Kate from Generate Magic. So I want to follow up on my last video where I talked about a health condition that I was experiencing, or at least I was under the assumption that I had this health condition, and it had been going on for well over a decade. And it was a recurring condition, meaning I didn't experience it every single day, but it was very much a part of my life. It was very much a consistent presence in my life. And then it just recently occurred to me that I hadn't been experiencing any serious symptoms, and I hadn't, and most significantly, I think it just hadn't been on my mind at all. It hadn't been a part of my experience at all in a good 6 months, which I think is pretty remarkable. And so in the video, I attempted to come to some sort of reasoning as to why this was. And I always like to be transparent with you. And one thing is I always like to be comfortable with ambiguity, both with ambiguity as an experience and also with expressing ambiguity. And some people say, oh no, you should just, fake it till you make it. But that's very much what I'm not what I'm about. I like to be honest with you, and I like to be transparent with you. And so I kind of speculated on why that might be. I gave a few theories, I guess, or a bit of reasoning. But when I went back and I actually watched a video, that one of these videos I was referring to that I had made back in the fall. I believe it was back in I don't remember for sure, but I think it was back in October. And it was kind of around the time that I decided that I was just done with this condition, and I didn't have any answers. And nobody else seemed to have any answers for me either, but I was done with struggling with it. I was done with trying to fix it. And so it was very much just kind of this feeling of surrender. And so the video that I made, I'm actually pretty happy with it. It was just a short that I did about Jesus's teachings and kind of what I feel is the true meaning behind his teachings. And really it's this belief, right, that you're truly not, you're not broken, and there's really nothing that needs to be healed, quote unquote healed, and there's nothing that needs to be fixed, right? And so all these people were coming to him with all these sicknesses. And in his time, it was believed that if a child had any sort of sickness, or if a child was blind, that it was because some sort of sin that the child's parents had committed. And so now the child was basically sort of bearing the brunt, or bearing the punishment for the parents' sins. And so this is kind of the concept of original sin. And so Jesus saw it much differently. He basically saw that there was never any quote unquote sin to be corrected in the first place. He saw everybody everybody that came to him through the eyes of love, and saw them as whole and complete and perfect, and not as broken, which is how society saw them, right? Society saw them very much as being broken and very much needing to be, not even needing to be fixed, but society saw them, just as being broken and not being even fit to be members of society, as being outcast of society. And he did not see them in that light at all. He just very much saw them as already being perfect and being complete. And so that to me was a very big key. And again, I want to emphasize that I think so many people, they try to kind of present it as the one thing, right? Or the magic formula, when really the magic formula is you, right? You're the magic formula. But I believe in my case, a fundamental breakthrough for me was overcoming this belief that I needed to be fixed, or I needed to be healed. And because even when I went to that alternative health practitioner, I was coming at it from the assumption, right, that there was something that was deeply wrong with me, and the assumption that I was broken. And so I believe that's why I did not receive the results that I was hoping for. And so I think that, when it comes to any sort of physical ailment that you might be experiencing, right, I think that's really a crucial component, is seeing yourself as already being being healed, right? As seeing yourself as already being complete and seeing yourself through the eyes of absolute and unconditional love. And obviously, this is not saying not to seek out medical attention. By all means, do whatever you feel you need to do. But I think if you already come at it from the standpoint of seeing yourself as already whole and seeing yourself as already perfect, again, not from the 3D perfection, but really, perfect in the eyes of the divine, right? In the eyes of God, then I think whatever treatment that you end up seeking out is going to be that much more effective. And so I think this is very crucial when it comes to relationships as well, right? And so in relationships, I think a large reason that I experienced all this dysfunction, all this struggle, was because I saw myself as incapable and unworthy of receiving the type of love that I really desired, right? And if anybody even showed me any sign of love, I felt like I had to hang on to it because I was afraid that I would never experience it again. And so even if I was I would be kind of willing to justify, right? Oh, well, yeah, we have some terrible days where I feel absolutely miserable, right? But we have lots of good days too. And I've actually seen other people, even friends of mine, who are in kind of dysfunctional relationships or, just like not good situations, make similar statements, right? Like, oh, we have our good days. And I think it comes from that standpoint, right, of thinking that you'll never get anything better, that you aren't worthy of receiving the type of love that you really desire. So I think really with all things that we're looking to receive, right, I think we need to we really need to operate from that fundamental premise, right, that we're already whole, we're already complete, and we're already worthy of everything that we desire, rather than looking at it like a puzzle piece and you just need to find that extra piece, right, and then you'll feel complete. And notice, right, that it's never, when you're operating from that premise, the puzzle's never complete. You're always operating from that premise of lack and dissatisfaction and just constantly needing more things and craving more things in order to feel that satisfaction, in order to feel good about yourself. And so finally, the last thing that I want to mention is, I've talked about it in other videos, but this whole idea of the 180 shift. And what makes this exercise so powerful is it's not just about seeing yourself as whole and complete, but it's about seeing everything in your reality as whole and complete and perfect. And so what the exercise is, and so I think it can be used for anything, but I think it's particularly powerful for relationships, right? And so let's say you're unhappy with your relationship with your husband and you feel like your husband never listens to you. And so this exercise actually challenges you to come up with examples from real life, right? Of all the times that your husband has listened to you and that he has been supportive of you. And when you do this exercise, if you really kind of put your whole heart into it, you'll actually feel your energy start to shift. And as your energy shifts and your focus shifts, it will shift your entire life experience. And so I've done this with many relationships, and I've done this with romantic relationships, with my relationship with my family, with my mom, and it really does do wonders. And so yeah, it's seeing everybody, right, as being whole and complete and perfect, and really kind of shifting your focus away from anything that's less than that, right? And just reminding you that if you feel like something is a lost cause, if you feel like something is broken, then it's simply because you're not seeing the whole picture. And so what it does is it challenges you to see more of the picture. And I even did this exercise with money, and I'll link to if I can find it, I'll link to the video where I discuss this. And so I was holding this belief that sure, I knew how to make money, but I felt like unexpected money did not happen to me. And so you always see people kind of in the manifestation community and other, areas too, right? People talking about receiving unexpected money, and whether it's just money that they find on the ground, or they suddenly they look at their bank account and they see some new money in their bank account that they were not expecting. And so I was holding on to this assumption that unexpected money did not happen to me, that was just not part of my reality. And so then I actually challenged myself to come up with examples, with counter examples to this, and I was actually able to. I was actually able to come up with some examples that I had completely forgotten about, including one. And again, I kind of go into more depth in the video, but one where I literally found dollar bills on the ground. And sure enough, I would say within just a couple of days of doing this exercise, I did receive unexpected money. And so this exercise really can work with anything. And so the moral of the story is that anytime you're seeing lack, whether it's in yourself or in anybody else or just in the world in general, right? It's because you're not seeing the whole picture. You're seeing a distorted perspective, and you're only seeing a tiny little bit of all that is. But you're making it into your entire life experience, right? And like with the health issue, I was making, even though it really wasn't really that big of a deal, I was making it into this huge deal. And especially when I was going through this treatment program, it became like my whole life, like just revolved around this issue and how terrible it was and how badly I wanted to fix it. And similarly, when we use words, like really strong words, right? Like never, like my husband never listens to me, or I never receive unexpected money, it's always because we're not, I guess I just used another strong word, always, but in this case it's true. It's because we're not seeing the whole picture, right? And so, yeah, so I really challenge you to just do this exercise, right? Do the 180 shift and see if you can bring up more of the picture. And remember that if you're operating from the premise of thinking that you're broken, or thinking that somebody else or something else in your life is broken and incomplete, and that if you just get that one little piece right, then everything will suddenly be perfect, then it's just going to be, you're really just have like an exhausting battle ahead of you, right? But if you come from the premise that you're already whole, right? You're already complete. The people around you are already whole and complete, and you're just challenging yourself to really see more of that beautiful picture, right? That beautiful tapestry. Then your life will really start to unfold, and your whole life experience will just start to become so much different. You'll start to experience so much more ease and so much more fulfillment in your life. And so with that, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.